Ms. Galloway, you say you became pregnant with your first child at 14 years old. And even with that young start, you maintain that all your children know and have been accepted by their fathers until now.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that Mr. Harris is the father of your 9-month-old twins, Shekinah and Malachi Galloway. Mr. Harris, you state that you're a family man who first became a father at the age of 12, going on 13. Although that child was yours, you're certain that Ms. Galloway's twins are not.
Yes, Your Honor.
You all got started having babies way too young. How did you get together?
Well, Your Honor, actually, it wasn't a relationship, Your Honor. It was just one-night stands and here and there pleasurable moments, to be honest, Your Honor. I mean, when I met her, it was in church, like usual, like the rest of her baby daddies. I mean, I'm keep it real.
First off, I was dating someone that he knew.
A musician?
Yeah, a musician that he knew. We ended up needing a ride home on a particular day, and the guy that I was dating called him up. And so he came and gave us a ride to my apartment complex. The guy that I knew, you walked down the street to, drop his kids off, and Mr. Harris here helped me to the door with my groceries. And he said, so when you gonna let me in the house? I said, what you talking about? He said, when you gonna let me come over? I said, the only time you're gonna come over is if we're having a Bible study. Okay, so, as time goes by, I do occasionally see him in the churches playing or whatever, so, I do start conversating with him. And then there was a situation where he was gonna be walking, he said he was walking from Shands Hospital in Jacksonville to not even knowing where he was gonna go, and this was Christmas Eve, and I said, okay, well, I don't have my kids this evening, and, it's cold outside, you're gonna be walking by yourself, you know what, I'll meet you. So we walked to a van where he knew that the doors were gonna be unlocked. So we go in the van.
You talking about?
We go into the van
and
we sleep in the van that night.
We didn't sleep in the van, we had sex in the van that night.
We slept in the van that night, and he didn't touch me or anything that night.
minutes.
So I felt comfortable, like everything was gonna be okay. So the next morning is when I'm waking up, I'm feeling him,
Okay,
That's not the truth.
go past that part.
Okay, so we end up getting involved. We did get involved in that van the next morning because that night, I felt comfortable with it. I felt like it was okay or whatever.
You met him in church.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, you having sex with him in an abandoned van?
Yes, ma'am.
You did not use protection.
No, I
No,
didn't.
we did not use
know,
protection, and it was like maybe 3 minutes, and then he was like, okay, I have
no,
to use
3
the
minutes,
restroom.
45 minutes.
You mean
45 minutes?
You mean 4 to
And you
5
saying-
minutes?
you saying
'Cause it was
30
not no 4 to 5
okay.
minutes.
Well, it was long enough to potentially produce 2 beautiful babies. Did you sleep with more than one man, Miss
Not at the
Galloway,
same
during
time.
the period of conception?
No. I was only talking to him. That's why I said she's
wasn't
not here 'cause she's
talking.
working.
No,
We
that's
text
what y'all
messages.
should have been doing, was just talking.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
You have no doubt
No
in your
doubt.
mind.
Not at all. Not at all, because during this time, like I said,
Did you sleep with Mr. Samuels too?
No.
That's a lie.
That is not a lie. That is not a lie.
You and Mr. Samuel slept together.
Me and
You
you
told me
never
out
used
this. You told me out your own mouth. Just like the
He is
boyfriend
lying.
you had before you met me and had sex with me. You was
You
talking
are trying
that
to
was
throw
a
up
musician.
everything that you can.
It ain't no case. You only want child support.
Mr. Samuels, we've heard testimony today. Mr. Harris has indicated he believes you had a sexual relationship with Ms. Galloway. Ms. Galloway says that's not true. Mr. Harris contends that you are, in fact, the father of the twins.
No, ma'am, I am not the father of the twins. Look at him, y'all know. Come on now, look at him, look at the babies. Think about it. Ray is known as being a hoe.
Okay, let's speak respectfully. Say it nicely.
I'm sorry, y'all know. Okay, well, he's known for being a dog.
I'm a dog. What are you? Your wife know you here right now?
Okay.
Your wife even know you down here right now.
We had the same past. We did.
How many of my women did you chase? Like, come on, Lonnie, let's be real.
Okay, yeah,
You wanna tell
I
the
did
story?
it. Yeah,
How
I
many
chased
women
it.
of mine
Yeah, I
you
chased
chased?
it.
Come on.
I chased it.
How many,
I chased
didn't your ex-wife leave you because
No, actually, we got divorced.
No,
We
your
got
wife got
divorced.
divorced because
We
you
got
slept with
divorced.
the woman I was with. Come
Okay,
on, let's be
listen.
real.
Mr. Samuels, you say you've never had a sexual relationship with Miss Galloway.
No, ma'am.
What is your relationship like with the twins?
But basically, when she had the twins, like, I got remarried. So me and my wife went over there to the house, and we seen the babies. And the thing about when I picked them up, I said, oh yeah, I knew who the father is. These twins. They basically like they look just like him. He can't deny you, especially a little girl. He cannot deny that child, y'all know. Then when the kids got sick, she tell me, I be like, where's Mr. Harris? Oh,
Lonnie, if you knew that, why you ain't never hit me in the inbox, Lonnie?
Think about it. Now you know we fell
out over a woman. Come on, let's be real.
All right, let's talk one at a time. I want to understand this. You say
Why
what,
you ain't
Mr.
never hit me
Samuels?
Okay, basically when the twins got sick, I asked Mr. Galloway, I said, where's Ray? She said, he's not doing enough for the kids. He's not trying to do nothing. And based on us, I went to the store and I got the Tylenol because the babies had a fever. I love kids. I got kids myself. I got 3. So basically, okay, she called me and be like, oh, they're sick. I'm saying, can you help me out? Okay, if I got the money, yeah, I'll help you out.
So you pretty much stepped up like a father would for these twins.
Yes, ma'am.
In the case of Galloway versus Harris, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Samuels, you are not the father. Mr. Harris, you are the twins' father. Well, my research says that you're in fact the biological father. How many children do you have?
It's 9, Your Honor.
9 children. I'm so frustrated. I really am. This is not how you live life.
You're right.
Your destiny and your purpose is not to be baby-making factories. What are you doing with your life? You all better stop having babies. Yeah. Both of you. Now, as for your countersuit, the defense to defamation of character is the truth, baby. Miss Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hollis, you are here with your mother and you both testify that Miss Shands is a pathological liar and you both don't believe you fathered her son but claim to know who did. Is this correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
I've read through the court file and this is a classic case of babies having babies.
After middle school, like when we hit high school, everything was going straight, like her freshman year. But after that, like when we had got into that one argument, we broke up. And then that was that. And she started messing with my homeboy and she started messing with multiple people.
Your Honor, me and his was close friends once before.
They was, but they
used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends.
I don't know.
And we both were young at the time. We both were young. So
both y'all young now?
Yeah, we still are young. We still are young. But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No.
We both made a mistake.
That's not how it is.
All right.
This is really what went on. All of them would be at my house every weekend. His friend, that's the other guy that she messed around with, and they would be there all the time. And I was there one weekend, I was off, and she was going to the store. She said, come on, best friend. But that's supposed to be his best friend. Come on, best friend, let's go to the store. I told him, where they do that at? I said, he your best friend, he her best friend too.
Like, I knew about the whole best friend thing, but like, now that they done slept around on me, like, I don't know, like, they probably were doing it then.
They was.
Like, back when they were best friends.
I believe they was.
No.
I believe they was.
No.
I told him they was.
All right.
No.
This is exactly why you all need to be just out playing a sport, learning a craft.
Yes.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
So the friend you cheated
That
on
don't
him
even
with,
matter.
and the next thing
That-
you know, y'all end up.
Excuse me,
Yes, we end up
what
going
she
out.
saying don't matter. When she was going with my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because I felt like he did it to me. So y'all together, I'm finna go and do what I gotta do.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that did happen as well.
So you were sleeping with both boys at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You find out you're pregnant. You tell the other guy first. What was his response?
Well, he was happy. He was happy.
And so you also tell Mr. Hollis?
I told him, like, not as soon as I got pregnant. He ended up finding out on the streets. But I ended up telling him. I ended up telling him. And I guess he ended up telling his mom as well. And I was telling them that it's a possibility that it can be him or the friend. I never told the friend that it can be a possibility with another guy. I only told his mother that it can be a possibility with another guy. I
And
never
why'd
told
you
the
make
other
that
guy.
choice?
Because
don't
she knew
know.
what she was doing. She knew what she was doing.
So, Miss Shands, if the other guy was at the birth, why are you now saying Mr. Hollis is the baby's father?
Because, like, my baby had more futures than him than the other guy.
Yes, he did.
For
He did
future.
not look
I'm just
nothing
trying
like
to
the
protect
other
my
guy
son.
at all.
I FaceTimed her and told her that it looked like I said, Aiden looks like Amir.
And what did she say, Mom?
It's a possibility.
So you admitted that it was a
Really?
possibility.
Yes, Your Honor, I did admit that it was a possibility.
Okay, so from that point, when you decide the baby looks more like Mr. Hollis, does the other guy sign the birth certificate?
No, he didn't have his ID at the time. That's why he didn't
He
sign.
wasn't intending on signing.
At what point do you just say, you know what, I don't think you're the father, I think Mr. Hollis is my child's father? Do you ever have that conversation? Do you ever just come clean?
With the friend?
Yes.
No, I never even talked to him about it.
So to this day, the other person doesn't know that Mr. Hollis could be Aiden's biological father?
He hears it off the streets because everybody on the streets
They
tell
talking
him that
about
the baby look like Aiden, the baby look like Amir,
think
the
he
baby look
is.
like Amir.
He think he his child.
But in his mind, he's running around the streets saying, this is my baby.
They're
Yes,
beefing
Your Honor.
over it. That him and my son is beefing over it.
Beefing over it.
Yeah, they got into it.
We got into
I'm
a few
trying to
times,
protect my
Your
son.
Honor.
We
Like,
trying to
it's
find
not no
what's going
beef.
on.
He ain't no beef with me no more. Like, I let the whole thing go. Like, the whole thing.
But it was a
Don't-
bunch of mess.
I can't tell you write songs about it.
What you mean?
He made a song, Your Honor, and it specifically says, about a year ago, I fell in love with a thought. That's what it says.
In the case of Shands versus Hollis, when it comes to 15-month-old Aiden Shands, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Hollis, you are not the father. I see tears in your eyes, Miss Shands, because I know how desperately you wanted Mr. Hollis to be Aiden's biological father. Their families formed a bond with your son, but unfortunately now, we know the truth.
Yes.
You're a beautiful young woman, but I do not like the way you've been operating. Or you, Mr. Hollis. None of you. And maybe you don't have anybody. And listen, sometimes you don't have that person to just sit you down and say, no, that's not what you do. And you get yourself, that's what I don't like about all this little social media stuff. You post something and then everybody, yeah, girl, yeah, this and all this, yeah.
hate it.
And they will, yeah, you straight to mediocrity. And you will not realize your potential as a young woman or a young man listening to these people online try to legitimize this nonsense track you on. I want you to desire better for yourself. I want you to desire a future for yourself and your child. You say you were in an exclusive relationship with Mr. Smith and even tried to have a baby together. But after you conceived your daughter, Kalani, Mr. Smith started denying your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You intend to prove he is the father today. Mr. Smith, while you admit to having a relationship with Ms. Richardson, you say you were not in town during the window of conception and claim to know who the father is. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Richardson, you say Mr. Smith begged you to have a baby with him?
Yes, Your Honor. Around the time we were together for about 8 months, he had told me he was in a situation where he didn't know if he were going to live a long time, so he had said he wanted a child with me. Me being young and dumb, and I was actually in love with him, I agreed on it. Around October 31st, we were together. I had left Job Corps, which he was still in. I left on the 28th. On the 31st, I had sent for him to come in town for the weekend, so, you know, we can go home on weekends. That day we did have sex, and that's whenever my daughter was conceived. I called him immediately and let him know that I was pregnant. From there on, we start going to appointments together.
So wait a minute. You say he begged you to have the baby?
Yes, he wanted to leave a piece of himself behind, he said.
And Mr. Smith, you wanted to leave a piece of yourself behind. Where did you think you were going? What was happening in your mind?
I wasn't really thinking. Well, she was like,
No.
she have baby fever.
No.
And I was
That's
like,
not at all. I did not have baby fever. I was only 19 years
She was talking
old.
to me the whole time on the bus saying, oh, she got baby fever.
That was actually him.
And I basically was like, well, if we both agree we want to have a baby, we can have a baby, you know? Like, we could, you know, start trying to have one.
For what?
I don't know. Just the thought of it, I guess. I don't.
He actually wanted to have a child. Once we didn't conceive in June and July, I told him that we weren't financially stable and I wanted to wait until we're further in our relationship.
How long were you all together at this point?
We were together for 8 months when he first started, but I've known him for a good bit of years.
Ms. Richardson, I can't let you go any further unless I just have a moment with you.
Okay.
Baby, you cannot have babies by everybody you feel like you fall in love with. I can see, we about 3 minutes in, and I can see that you decided you had fallen in love with him, and from there on, everything you heard come out his mouth, everything you saw was through the lens of love that you had created. Because he stood right here, and the second thing out of his mouth was, I really wasn't trying to be with her that long, but if we wanted to have a baby and she wanted to do it, okay. Everything is so nonchalant. Mr. Brock,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for joining us today.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to know, what is your relationship exactly with Ms. Richardson?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I would die for Brianna, and I'll take my last breath for that little girl up on the screen right there, and that's my goddaughter. And it's just because I've built that relationship with him that quick. We've told each other things that I have told nobody else. We've been through things that I have told nobody else. We've been through some bad times, even in just the 8. Like, people are focused on the 8 months that we've known each other.
Oh, God, this is so exhausting.
So
you
it's
all
like-
are all just kids.
Exactly.
And everything is so
Exactly.
intense. It's like I'm thinking about a baby. Have you ever seen a baby the first time they taste the food and it's just so, and you can just get inside of them and see how good that flavor is to them because it's new and it's everything you all feel is so intense. And 30 years from now, y'all gonna be talking about, you remember Brianna, where is she? I mean, and it troubles me because what I see is a pattern with each of you where you are establishing these intense emotions, feelings, and connections, and yet you don't have the maturity to recognize the complicated familial connections that are now formed, unformed, and affected because of the way you all are conducting yourselves in these relationships. Do you follow me?
Yes, ma'am.
And the last I heard, the parents choose the godparents together. And that's another fact we don't have on track, because you all ain't on track because you're kids. It's all messy. You're not ready for all of this. You're not ready for it emotionally. You're not ready for it at all. This is hard enough on adults. Okay, I want to hear from your next witness. Ma'am, will you please stand? I'd like to hear from you.
My name is Darlene Bagley, and I'm the twins' mother.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Ms. Bagley. So, I've been trying to talk to these young people, Ms. Bagley.
Yes.
They've gotten themselves in a situation.
Yes.
What do you know about this? Do you believe Kalani is your granddaughter?
Yes, I do.
You do?
They always did have problems. They always did, but I stayed neutral, because I didn't want to get in between, not seeing her because I'm on my son's side. But once this video came out, that's when everything in me changed. He was holding the baby and kissing on her. I'm like, I don't even know this guy. Do my son know this guy? If you're a godfather, why we don't know you? Where did you come from?
Every time he gets mad, he said, oh, that's not my daughter. Oh, that's not my daughter. I'm not going to put my all into her because I don't know if that's my daughter. He has plenty of times to get a DNA test. He's on child support. He had a time to get a DNA test, but he didn't want to because at first he doesn't want Kalani to grow up that he got a DNA test on her. Then it's, oh, I don't want to spend my shopping money.
Well, see, then that's another problem that you're too young to understand.
Right.
Because if you have a doubt, you get the DNA test. It's not about when the child grows up, you don't want her to know that you got a DNA test on her. That's the problem today. Everybody tells all their business all the time. So where do we go from here? You now believe, you have doubts, Ms. Bagley, even though you say you believe she's yours, or do you hope she's your grandchild?
I hope and pray. I really do. I really do.
Okay.
In the case of Richardson versus Smith, pertaining to whether Mr. Brock or Mr. Smith is the father of 8-month-old Kalani Smith, it has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Smith. Now we have the result. We know the truth. Where do we go from here, family?
People that know I'm her father now, so,
And listen, how will people know? Let's grow up in this moment right before we go.
Yes, ma'am.
How will they know? We're not talking about no Facebook posts. We're talking about some face-to-face child rearing, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Right.
Definitely.
Loving a child is oftentimes about sacrificing yourself.